Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Water Committee meeting of October 25th. It's 2 p.m. I will do the roll call. Bill Bradford's not here. Dean Brady's not here. Beth is not here.
Who?
Dean
Who
Brady,
wasn't here?
Bill Bradford.
Oh,
Blake Obsburn is here. Tim Payne is here. Dwayne McFall is not. Tim is not. I am here. And we've also got Andrea Stein and Norman. Welcome.
Emily.
And I'm getting around everybody. And Emily Tracy.
And Kyle Horn texted me, said he's on his way, he'd like to sit in.
Really? Kyle Horn. Okay,
Sure, I just have a question at some point if I may.
sure.
I didn't know when would be a good ask about a topic that's not on the agenda.
Oh, gotcha. I don't think we really have tell you what, why not, we'll do that under public comment.
Yes, number 4.
Oh, I didn't print it over.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to save paper.
Wow.
Okay. Do we have some old business, Travis?
Well, we do have draft well ordinance red lines. That's gone through a few iterations. Everybody knows, we did get another red line from the attorneys. It kind of, after talking about it in water committee and a vision committee. And unfortunately, the attorneys were not able to be at the vision committee, which I think would have been, and I told him it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been really helpful. So what I asked for them in a meeting with them was to just put it in their lawyer speak, what they know they want and what is going to take care of the intent of the well ordinance.
Okay,
And then it's gonna go through 2 readings at city council.
okay,
If city council members want things adjusted, then they can have a conversation with the attorney. to address them.
absolutely great. Did you hear a date for that
That'll be next council meeting.
at the next council meeting?
November 4. Whatever that.
Welcome back.
November 6th.
November 6th. Okay, so the well ordinance, now well drafted.
Well drafted. Not bad.
Yeah.
November 6th before the city council. We may have a speaker today. We've invited somebody from Forest Service.
Yeah, I never did hear back from her.
What I heard is that she had a doctor's appointment, but she would make it if she could.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and if that happens, we'll be glad to welcome her. And what she'll do is,
She'll email me then.
okay. Do we have any
hey, John,
update? Yes, sir.
excuse me, I wasn't here, so did everybody else or most everybody else on the committee get to see the red line copy of the ordinance?
Not the newest iteration, but yeah, when we had comments on it. Yeah, they got to see that. Yeah, and if you would like a copy, I think that's
That's all
fine.
right.
It'll be submitted to, it's a public document, so just let me know if you'd like to and I'll email it to you.
And that is just that would be the one that's gonna go before council.
Correct.
Great. Okay. We got any updates on our standing committee topics? Any legislative updates? I did attend the CML Legislative Policy Committee meeting, but they didn't really have any water issues that they were dealing with. Or that looked to be on the radar of the legislature, at least from the Colorado Municipal League's viewpoint. But that they may have too narrow a view that pick up on some of that stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have anything upper arc new last meeting,
Nothing new, so it just.
legislative wise.
Um, What do you guys do in your meetings, Tim? What do you-
Well, all for augmentation and stuff, there's always something going on.
So so really the Upper Arkansas, it's the Upper Arkansas Water District,
Water Conservancy.
Water
District,
Conservancy District.
Yeah,
They're actually a formal board. They're a district,
right.
correct? And so they actually have municipal-like powers for to approve or disapprove. Is that right?
No, they're mostly involved with, and Blake can help me out, 'cause, they're mostly involved with, augmentation. Is their big thing.
Replacing post-compact depletions from, say, like new homes or
Right.
ag sometimes, or businesses that need the water but aren't in priority. So they'll use the water, and then Upper Ark has a portfolio of water, different buckets that they'll release.
Okay, so it's really Upper Ark is more like a water owner
Yeah, somewhat.
or manager. what-
Water manager, for sure.
Manager.
Yeah, water manager is a good way to put it.
They own any water, do they?
Yeah, I believe you
Yeah.
guys have a portfolio.
Yeah, they got quite a bit.
Well, beyond project water and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Beyond project water, yeah. Whereas Southeast Water Conservancy District has a lot to do with the project water from the West Slope.
Hmm.
That's their main focus.
What's the difference? What is project water?
That is water that comes from the West Slope. It's the Frying Pan Arc Project.
Oh.
Is why they call it project water.
Gotcha.
That comes through the Fry Arc project. That
Uh,
was established, what, 62, 63? President
Yes.
Kennedy was
I
out
think in
and did that.
it started in the forties.
Yeah,
It really started in the forties, and John Martin was actually part of it, and then Kennedy kicked off the building of the reservoir and stuff in the sixties.
Yeah,
One little update, but it actually is pretty significant for project water. The West Slope Colorado River Conservancy District is working with Excel to buy a really big and important and old water right on the Colorado River, which is important because if either another West Slope entity like a irrigation district had bought it, or say a Denver Water had bought that water right, it would have impacted the call on the upper part of the system, which is where our project water comes from. So there was a big worry about project water supply shrinking if an entity got a hold of this water.
yeah.
But they're gonna leave it as an in-stream flow right and keep it flowing through Glenwood Canyon.
Oh.
And that just came out today. They just announced that, like, they have an agreement, like a purchase agreement with Excel, so.
Is that the water right that's used for the hydro?
It's the
power?
Coney Hydro Dam,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's that one.
Hmm.
So it's on the main stem.
So we think that's gonna go their way.
Yeah, so they're planning the district, the Colorado River, Colorado River Conservancy District.
Water district. I can't remember, Colorado River District is what.
Yes, River District, the River District, has a purchase agreement to buy it. And so it's good news for our West Slope water supplies. They're gonna leave the water in the river, but use it as a calling right to avoid Denver calling or to avoid Grand Valley calling, so. Anyway, just good news for our project water today.
Yeah, it's good news for the Ark, because so much of our flow
Yeah.
does come
Project
through
water.
there. If we
Yeah.
didn't have project water, that river would look a little different.
Yes.
so an example of Upper Ark, I pushed for when I was a commissioner. We had all these extra water rights down in Pathfinder Park that we didn't use because of dry up of like the arena, parking lots, things like that. Exchange those water rights for water out west, so our transportation department uses water on projects like up by Badger Creek or out west somewhere. So they can pull water out of Badger, they can pull water out of the Arkansas, and then also up Oak Creek Raid. We traded that water there so they can do that water out there.
Mhm.
Very complex.
Yeah,
I simplified that.
yeah, that's
obviously.
right. The change of point of diversion is no easy
Yeah,
task.
yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. So when you guys are doing your meetings, it's, you've got so you've got an agenda and you're looking at, you have people that bring requests to you, is that?
Well, they usually bring it to our general manager,
Uh,
and then, we have a water attorney that
Uh-huh.
also. We get a report from him on, and that's another thing we do is, water court decisions. And we get a lot of updates on that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
I attend quite a few
Yeah,
of those meetings. I attend
Travis
the
and
enterprise
Emily, they-
meeting and then the regular business meeting.
I try to go to at least every other one.
yeah, so we have our enterprise meeting, which is on the enterprise side. And then we have our general government meeting, so we have both at the same time.
When are those meetings and where the hell?
At the headquarters in Salida, second Thursday of the month at 1:30.
Oh,
Yeah, and you can zoom in.
That's right
These
along
guys
Highway
zoom in.
50.
I've zoomed in quite a few times.
that's the one along Highway 50 there.
Yeah, it's right along Highway 50,
Okay,
Yeah,
next to the motel there, I think.
yeah.
To the
okay,
west.
oh, yeah, okay.
is there a mailing list? Is there a,
Well,
meeting notification list?
Yeah, Travis got on the email list.
I
Yeah,
got on it when
Mhm.
I first came on council because the mayor assigned me something that we couldn't find. That was the closest we could. So I've been.
Yeah, I was looking
so
for.
how the state legislature set it up years and years ago is they set up membership through school districts. So like Manny Colon and I represent RE1 school district down there, to Upper Ark Water.
Uh-huh,
That way you got members all throughout the district.
yes,
And the best way to do that was through school districts.
yeah,
Little weird to do it that way, but at least it spreads everybody out.
right, gotcha.
Yeah,
And it is related to population and geography is.
yeah,
So-
yeah. Instead of saying two guys from Canyon City, you need a defined boundary in school districts. School districts is it.
And they also, John, they have like a lower Arc Conservancy District.
Mhm.
How many districts are there, Tim?
I don't know, how many are there?
There's upper, lower, purgatory, down
Quite a
in
few, there's
Trinidad.
like 12.
Just in the arc, there's 4. But then you go to the Rio Grande, there's 2. There's several on the western slope.
Is there a unified map of all the water districts?
Probably somewhere.
There is, I've seen one, yeah.
Have you seen one?
Yeah, it's either in that big book that the Colorado Water put out, or, yeah, it was in this book I got too, so it is available.
Yeah. Anyway,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for that update. So anything else on standing committee topics? Okay, have you got something on the reservoir?
We do. We have Kyle Horn here. I do have mine and Luke's notes if you want to reference those. If you want to say much at all, if you want to hop in, you want me to just go ahead and take the
I'll
lead?
just, I'll roll with it. I'll kind of give a little bit of background and then kind of hand it off to you to where that took in.
Okay.
You had
Um,
Kyle down for like an hour's worth of talking, so
Kyle talk?
I know. No,
Never heard such
very
thing.
quiet and I'm very quiet.
it's hard to pull him out of the shell.
So one of the things that we looked at for the last several years was potential improvements to Conroe Regional Park. And it's really
We is
the recreation
the
district.
recreation district.
As the recreation district.
Um,
I'm here as the executive director of the recreation district, not just
Great.
formal citizen.
Should have had you introduce yourself.
Oh, I think most people know me in here. I think I'm,
We do. But,
which I apologize in advance. I'm sorry. But, one of the things that that the recreation district has looked at is how do we enhance and improve John Griffin Regional Park? Obviously, we have an underused facility in the ropes course, partly because we just don't have a population base to support it. It's also difficult to find staff, so we're trying to figure out what we do with that piece and how we make some changes. And then over the several years ago, Luke Javernick through River Science was working on a project in part with Fremont County and a couple of other entities, studying John Griffin, and part of it was because of the abutments on the Reynolds Street Bridge and trying to deal with stream flows. As you all know, there's that big sediment section to the west of Reynolds Street Bridge, which is impacting the abutment. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and putting more stress on things, because of the way the water's flowing. So the idea was, how do we shift some of those flows? Well, what we found was that, it was, let's face it, John Griffin Park was, and the whole area where the recreation district is, where the Riverwalk is, was all agriculture. At one, Ash Street did not exist. The Reynolds ended at the Arkansas River, and everything else on the south side was all farmland. And so what we looked at was, well, the river at that time was doing what rivers do, and it was flowing through there, constantly moving and changing. And the Flood Conservancy District, which was created to, of course, channel the Arkansas River to better control it, prevent flooding, channeled the river, and the Riverwalk is essentially on the south bank, sits on top of that levee. It is not a certified levee. There are only 2 certified levees in the entire United States. We do not have one of them. Okay, so just to be clear, a certified levee is New Orleans. That is a certified levee. That's intense. We just have a levee. So what we are doing is, so the idea was, okay, well, once that was built, what it started to do then was dry up some of the land. You'll notice in the John Griffin Regional Park, on the west end, you've got a lot of drier area, with the exception of the bluff. And then as you move into, as you continue east, the east half is more wetlands area for the most part. And you're gonna notice on there with some of the LiDAR,
I don't know if we can just shut those lights off.
here, so
Yeah.
one of the things that you see is here's some elevations. This is from Luke, so you can see you have low elevation here. You have low elevation through John Griffin Park. Here's the old sand yards. Here is the Bluff Trail, which by the way, used to be the railroad. Okay, it used to be the railroad line, that's the Bluff Trail. And then, of course, the higher elevation here is the levee, but you're gonna notice you get to low elevations here. Low elevation back here, they all work their way back to the pond, and the river is all right here. So the idea is, using these elevations, can we activate these historic stream channels? Can we activate those and start to create moving water within John Griffin Regional Park, enhance the wildlife, enhance the habitat? So because the river is channeled, we will never reach gold medal water status. We were close, but we're never going to get over the top. So by doing this, could we potentially create gold medal water status for the Arkansas River through town? So from a recreation standpoint, for the recreation district, that's a huge plus. The other plus is, imagine having stream flows through here for recreation purposes. So if the stream flows are moving quick enough, are there things that you can do such as tubing? Can fish be there where you can have fishing? Can there just create habitat where even colleges come in and do classwork? And can they look at that and see and create some even classes that Luke discussed could happen at the college level? So our goal is, what can we do to make John Griffin Regional Park better? It hasn't changed essentially since 1987 when it was created. It's just, it is what it is. So as we look at this, and this is all work done by Luke, he did fabulous work, and of course, the board of directors was thrilled. Now, at the same time, we also understand there are pitfalls when it comes to John Griffin Park. You suggest any sort of change to John Griffin Park, you will get some of the folks in the community up in arms. But that was to create soccer fields or to create something else. This is different. This is keeping everything natural. This is just putting in stream flows. That's it. Nothing more. But what we discovered is, as you all know in this room, water costs a lot of money. And we have one CFS through Phelps Ditch. The Recreation District does. And that is ours. We are the only shareholder on that ditch. It sits across, the intake is across from Doug's property on the other side of the river, on the south side. You've probably walked by the pump house on the Riverwalk numerous times. Okay, so that's the Phelps Ditch Pump House. We use it to irrigate some of the trees along Cells Avenue. So that's what we use that ditch for. Are we using our whole one CFS? No, we are not. However, we are using it on an annual basis. But if we stick with irrigation, which this would be, because we are the only shareholder, everything else, we don't lose it because we're using it for what it is. Now, if we sell it, now it becomes way less valuable than one CFS. Okay, so the one CFS really does do a good job of taking care of us, but we need a partner. So we looked at, is there a chance for CPW? Are there leasing options? We talked with CPW. Hey, is this possible? That could open up a can of worms for CPW because they do have water that they have to move around. Well, the only difference is now, can they move it through John Griffin and just simply return it to the Arkansas? It's diverted for a mile and then it's back in. So we looked at those options. I honestly don't know if CPW wants to open up that can of worms. And at the same time, we've discussed this in open public meeting, but we haven't really, we're at such a concept stage that we didn't really want to go further. Well, we were looking for other partners. So Luke said, I got an idea. So he called Travis. And it just so happens that the city may have some needs for water storage as well. So the question becomes now, how do we make even more changes to John Griffin Park and go maybe even further than what stream flows were? So after doing some research, the three of us and talking, and to be clear, it's research primarily from Luke and Travis and letting me know what's going on. My job in this whole phase is what I'm doing now, and that is talking with all of you. And then talking to the public is, what if we made some of the eastern portion of John Griffin a reservoir? Or western portion. What if we did that? Because as you know, this section of John Griffin here, you can tell is drier. Once you get past this middle section, it becomes more lush. And if you walk around this time of year, you walk around in the summer, you'll notice dry grasses on the western half, thriving grasses on the eastern half. So what if we did something on the western end? And so Travis talked about, what if we put a reservoir essentially
Sorry.
here, and I'm gonna let Kim kind of take over from here, but here's the idea. This would involve the sanitation district. By the way, we have talked with the sanitation district. It was presented to their executive director, Brian Rupp, who then took it to their board, and they're open to the idea. The catch is going to be, they need to have, they use the sanitation, the old sand yards as a way to deposit their spoils. They would need to get compensation for land on the south side of the Arkansas River somewhere to deposit soils that they pull out. So they're willing to do some sort of a trade, which, by the way, the recreation district, other than Shep Open Space, really doesn't have any lot of land, and that really is going to violate our agreement with Walter Shep, because it had to be left for recreation use, not for putting schools in. So that opens up a whole different can of worms. So there's some discussions to be had here.
Where are the solids taken out of?
They're just.
Their projects?
Like if they're digging up to put in pipe, just like we do.
Oh,
They
right.
got all those spoils away.
They
So
got
they just have to, so it's not necessarily processed
No, it is not.
materials or something like that. This is just incidental to maintaining their land.
Construction.
This is all dirt, this is all land that they dig up and they move it somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
So it's all land. But the question becomes, what do we do here? The downside is we would take a middle trail, and we would keep the easternmost middle trail, but lose the current eastern trail, which really impacts one event, and that's the Blossom. That's the only event it would impact, but
The western, far west.
the western trail would, the eastern trail would not. So the eastern trail would still be in existence, the western trail would go away.
And from where to where?
From the bluff to the river. We have 3 trails that go east and west. So we have bluff, middle, river. And then we have 2 cross trails that go north and south. There's a western cross trail and an eastern. cross
Oh, I got you, all right.
So
Yeah, the west.
it creates that zigzag. So the idea is, what can we do here to create a reservoir? And then come off the sides, okay? Now, from a rec district point of view, and I'm gonna let Travis take it from the city point of view, from the rec district point of view, it's a win. If we had a reservoir here, non-motorized use, of course, people could use it for kayaking, fishing, paddleboarding, whatever. There could be learn to options. And you're looking at creating a body of water for them to enjoy right smack in the middle of town, and it's already on public land. There is no land purchase. It is also close to the Riverwalk, where there is infrastructure within the Riverwalk, underneath the Riverwalk. But there's also options for the city, and I'll let Travis get into that, and I'll let him do his spiel on what it means for the city point of view. And then we can talk about, this is where our board has left it at this point. So far, we haven't gotten those from a lot of people. The key is, it's just slowly moving forward, but we're waiting to see if something triggers a all stop, so.
Would the reservoir be bedded in river gravels?
I'm gonna let Travis handle that piece. That's his world, not mine.
I got you.
Yeah.
Kyle, could this in any way, shape or form, make the floodplain down there worse for the adjoining property owners?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if Travis knows that yet. I don't know how far along.
That might
have
be a
gotten that
Corps of
far.
Engineers.
I'm assuming, this is a large assumption, that it probably would affect some further down. But with a bluff there, I mean, it's not gonna affect anything directly downstream, but this is me assuming. And that would be all part of feasibility that we're light years away. from.
We're
It cannot
already,
affect south. We don't know about north yet.
yeah, we're already in a floodplain. I mean, I don't embellish the idea
The one good thing is,
of somebody else making it worse. if it
Well,
can be.
but it's, as I understand it, Doug, this really doesn't change the configuration of the river, does it?
no,
No,
So
It could,
it could.
if the permitting from the Division of Mine and, or the Dam Safety Department
yeah.
makes you harden the river to say, protect the reservoir
Right.
from flooding events from undercutting like a dam. So they could make you have to do some river hardening.
Well, but you could always
These are all
just,
real hypothetical.
you
down
could,
the
you could
road.
always just back your bank down south to handle the area of the hardening too.
so before Travis begins, I want to be clear. This is a concept.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're not even in a position to say, oh, gosh, yeah, we're rolling, we're doing this. There are so many steps that need to go, and Travis can kind of explain that very well, like he did with the rec district board. This is a concept in the early going to just lead a discussion to say, what if we could do this? And then how can we make it happen? So let's all keep an open mind and let's see where we land on this, but I want you to look at it from a concept point of view, knowing that a lot of the studies, concerns you have not even been done yet, because we're not even there yet. And it will come along. So I'll let Travis go from what he talked with our board about.
couple more questions, Kyle. You have a direct water right off the river, correct?
Yes, one
One
CFS.
CFS, that's not a lot, but it's not a drop either.
No, it's not a drop, but that's why we're talking with Travis. So if we were gonna really activate stream flows, we figured, according to Luke, we would probably need at least 5 CFS to make that work. We have 1. We need 4 more. That's why we started looking for partners, and that's why we went over that way.
Just as a thought, though, that's decreed for agricultural uses.
It's
Yeah,
decreed
well-
for irrigation.
So,
And I might be able to put this to bed a little
Getting
bit.
ahead of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ditch will not be used at all for this.
Right.
Storing of water, because that Phelps does not have any storage.
dude,
So it cannot be going through a reservoir. So they would still be using that for their irrigation processes.
okay,
And the idea, which has not been fully fleshed out, again, all right, this is all super.
Very high
beginning,
level, very early concept.
is it would be project water that we'd be using, asking for an administrative exchanges. We have a lot of water stored in Pueblo Reservoir, so we'd be doing exchanges to fill this reservoir.
Store it here instead of there.
Yeah,
What,
that is the idea that has not been fully fleshed.
some of these questions you have may be flushed out by what he has to say.
Yeah,
So
so
that's the water that would be used, our stored water in Pueblo Reservoir.
City.
Yeah, this is, yeah, so instead of storing it down there, we're storing it up here. Okay, so I'll back up just fuzz. This is roughly a 25-acre footprint for this size of reservoir right here. So the idea would be hopefully to get to 20 feet deep to give us 500 acre feet of useful storage.
20 feet.
20 feet deep,
20 feet deep, yeah. Yeah, 20 feet of storage. Whether,
on an average,
on an average, yeah,
Yeah.
to get to 500 acre feet.
yeah.
Yeah, so, it already is in a bit of a dip, but obviously there would have to be some excavation. And again, it's not figured out how much would be a dam, how much would be just pure excavation, so it's settled nice and low. The intent obviously would be to not have some big monstrosity of the dam, right? It would be to dig it out and have, just a lined dam, so that a lined reservoir. The whole reservoir would have to be lined, so you're gonna have so much, groundwater in there that there's no accounting that could be done, and DWR would force accounting, so you want all that lined, right? So it'd just be like a mud jacked or, it's not cement, but it's like a bentonite, yeah, thank you. Lined dam, so you can't have water coming out, but honestly, more important in the state size, water coming in, because that groundwater would have to be accounted for. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so with that 500 acre feet of potential water, that's where,
Travis, can I?
yeah, go ahead.
Just to clarify, so you're saying instead of going up with a dam, you're gonna go down,
Or a combination,
or maybe different parts?
however that works, because I mean, it's well recognized that the groundwater table is pretty darn high.
Yeah.
So any excavation, you're probably gonna be running into water,
Yeah.
which would create issues there. Additionally, the sanitation department, it's well known that they, when they decommissioned everything, they just kind of buried everything, which is okay, that's not a bad thing. But that would be another thing to figure out, how much would that add to a construction cost of taking out old infrastructure? You're not necessarily just digging out dirt. There's old buried tanks, buildings, that sort of thing.
Above ground stuff.
Yeah, there's just a
And-
lot of stuff to
And
take.
by the way, the goal is the bluff trail and the river trail remain.
Yeah.
Cause they're already elevated, those 2 things remain.
Mhm.
All right,
Yep, so earthen dam, bentonite lined, hoping not concrete, but again, all this stuff is a ways away to be figured out. So, that could alleviate some of your flooding concerns if it's not necessarily 20 feet up and all that water has the ability to just flush right out. You're still gonna have dams, still gonna have the ability. But I still don't know the answer to your question, how much that would affect floodplains downstream.
It seems like it would divert groundwater in some way that would have to be accounted. Wouldn't it, if you have a structure
mhm.
built under.
Sure,
the
yeah.
surface of the
I mean,
ground,
that
you're
very well could be,
reroute the
again,
flow.
there are so many specific questions that a lot of people are going to have that are not gonna be answerable right now. And that's, this is very high level stuff. I mean, not only can we, but should we? Those are both questions that still need to be answered in order for us to put any significant resources into it.
when you're talking about, when you get the positives, I mean, what would be some selling points?
So the selling point from the city point of view is water storage close enough that it could be, in theory, piped back up to our intake. So a complete separate source of water. Okay, so right now we have a lot of very fantastic direct flow rights. We really don't have any storage rights beyond what we have stored in Pueblo Reservoir. In order to use that, there has to be a certain amount of water in the river. And I think that agrees for Portland. I think it's below the anything below the sanitation department, that they put that in a lot of the exchange decrees that we have. So like the one for South 40 has it on there, and I think the Old Cotter one has it as well. That there has to be 170 CFS in the river to do the exchange.
Okay, that was my question. What's the CFS?
Yeah, 170. I'm almost sure it's 170. It might be 180, but I think it's 170.
We have 500 at Avondale.
Oh,
Like,
really?
and I thought that was low, but.
Yeah, no,
170,
170
that's pretty good.
below the sanitation.
Nice.
And the intent there is just not to have that any lower, so
Yeah.
what the sanitation department is putting in the river doesn't get, isn't the main stream flow, you know, they want enough water in there, so.
And then you'd have all the recreation,
Yeah.
the potential fishing, kayaking,
Right.
playing in the pond.
So the point, of my rambling is, that water is valuable, but it's not intensely valuable. Because there could be a point where even in the middle of summer, we have all stored water down below us that we may not have access to. Okay, so the more valuable water is water that's stored above you, that you could just say, hey, release it, give it to me. I'm ready for it, right? That's the valuable water.
Right.
While this is gonna be below our intake, it's close enough that in theory, we could put a pipeline back up into. That's also even more valuable because it becomes a complete separate source of water. So in the event that Arkansas were to become polluted, or an extended turbidity event, you know, where it's dirty, more dirty than we would like to have anyways. You know, something like the Gold Canyon blows up. I mean,
Right,
you know, those are extreme events that most likely aren't happened, but it's happened before other places. You have to have eventualities, right?
So you brought up the pipe back upstream. Have you looked at the roof of your pipeline
Under the Riverwalk.
under the river?
Yeah, is
Walk. River walk.
the river walk.
Oh, under the river walk.
a river walk.
Yes.
We've
Um,
already got a trail there, so they would just need to dig it up as they go. There'll
Yeah.
be some inconvenience. Of course, for citizens for a little while, and it goes section by section
All phased out.
and then get
Yeah.
it back up.
That would be the idea as it stands right now. Again, this thing could change a million ways. It could die tomorrow, so.
Yeah, I think that this would have a lot of positive, I think you get a lot of positive about this. because-
Yeah, I mean, it would be
Yeah.
open to rec, as Kyle
Yeah.
said, it would probably not be
That's-
open to swimming. I mean, there's
Yeah.
gonna be some uses that probably not, no motorized. Because it would be considered a drinking water reservoir, but there are plenty of drinking water reservoirs out there that allow rec. And they coexist just fantastically.
Yeah.
Additionally, when you start talking about recreation benefits, you talk about, wildlife conservation, you talk about municipal, you have different users, multi-user grant applications are much more successful. Blake can talk a little bit about that, rather than just a single use grant
Yeah, like
application.
this kind of project to go for like
Is
CWC.
this what they drool over?
They really like this. I mean, it hits on the water plan.
That'd be where the funds come from, the CWCD.
Yeah.
Right, for construction.
I mean, otherwise you're not doing this.
No.
Nobody's
we don't have a-
nobody's
No,
funding it.
you don't have the billions to do this.
You're still gonna have a match, you're still, I mean, that's again, many things to figure out. But you're trying to get, if I remember right, I need to make it. You're hoping to keep construction costs down below $10,000 per acre foot.
So that was a sanitation district plant. CDBHU would probably have to get involved with making sure you could store water on top of what used to be a
I'm sure,
sanitation.
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that wanna get their fingies in on
Was
it.
that a brownfield site? Or did
I
he go
don't think
brownfield
so,
area?
I don't think so, I did ask the sanitation department if they'd ever looked at asbestos, and they said they did remove it before burying it.
Oh,
So at least that little tiny road. block is-
Now-
Well,
Now,
Yeah.
there's one other kicker on this. So somebody said, well, one of the rec district board members. Well, what if we don't want something this big and we just want to do it smaller? And the answer would be,
Well, that storage just doesn't do it for the city. We need a little bit, well, this is probably our minimum, really, because what we need this for is in the event in the summer. We need an alternate water source that we then can pump this out, send it back up to our intake. 500 acre feet, you know, if we instituted all of our water conservation measures, may get us 6 weeks. I mean, if people are drawing full out, it's a few days, but you know, if we institute all of our, you know, taking out all the watering, not allowing bulk water customers to pull those sorts of things, then, you know, we might be able to get a handful of weeks out of it. So that just kind of gives you an idea. That's the kind of storage that the city is interested in, not 20 acre feet, nothing like that. That doesn't, we don't get any bang for our buck on that.
so at the end of the day, our goal with the recreation district and working with the city is, one, is this even possible? Like I said, we expected some no's along the way. So our first question was, were we gonna get a no from our district water commissioner? We did not. Then it was going to be, okay, are we going to get a no from, you know, from the city itself or from the rec board or from the sand board? We did not. It was no. Let's look at this and let's see if it's possible. We also know that this project is, you're looking at 5-10 years. Easy. This is not happening next year, the year after, the year after that. This is long-term visioning. But the question is this a project that benefits the city of Canyon City, Canyon City Area Recreation and Park District, the Sanitation District? Does it also then benefit all the citizens that we all serve? And right now, our answer in the early going is, it looks like it could.
Yeah.
But there is testing to be done. There's going to be, will it affect the floodplain? What is it gonna be like to remove all those soils? Can we get a CWCB grant for this? Here's the other thing, granting agencies for combination of rec and municipal use. This checks off all kinds of boxes. And I don't know, when was the last time a reservoir was done on the Ark? Colorado.
I don't know. The answer
Do
to
that
is,
one
yeah.
right now,
Yeah,
wild horse,
yeah,
Yeah.
so, but it's not something that happens all the time.
right?
This is, and this would be an interesting situation. Now, you would say, well, wait a minute, would there be a need to pump back up? We did have a low water level one year in the, what was it,
2002.
oh,
Yeah,
2002,
2003.
when we probably would have had to pump this back up. So does it happen? Absolutely it does. Will it happen again? Don't know. Odds are yes, but I don't have that crystal ball to tell you
I
when.
think the odds are.
But we
pretty
need
high.
to be ready for it.
Right.
But there are a lot of options, and from a recreation point of view. Right now, the recreation district has 5 board members that are like, look at the possibilities. This is huge.
That's
for
sort of dead
recreation.
space right now. It
In all
hardly-
reality, it is.
It really, yeah, it is.
It is
When
the
you go through
least
there,
used section
yes, exactly. Yeah.
by far.
Except for the trail.
No, but
But you're
remember,
keeping the
but
trail.
we're
Yeah.
keeping the trails on either side.
Yeah.
It's a-
I was gonna ask Travis, you may have said and I missed it. Physically, where would the water come from to fill the reservoir? Would that be a diversion point somewhere?
There would be an exchange. So there is a
Oh.
diversion point right now for the Phelps ditch. But I think we could glob onto and say, well, there's already an established diversion point. While we're not using the Phelps ditch, there is a diversion point in the river right there. And so we would be either using that diversion or just, you know,
It's in the area of where this body of water. is.
yeah, I think it's up in here somewhere.
Isn't there a roller dam there?
So-
Yeah. you got
Yeah.
it.
So
Almost like a
Phelps
low- low bed,
diversion,
but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
this is Phelps diversion right here.
Yeah. a
So
little bit.
this is,
Sorry.
well, not here, I'm sorry, it's right, it's, no, that's it,
That's
it's
it.
right here.
Yeah.
So Phelps diversion is right here. And here's the other thing, so the return on the river. There are 3 different low areas that come out of this. They come along close to the bluff trail, loop back. One jumps into, this section of water. Everybody knows, like, there's that little pondish area along the river. So it kind of goes into here, but the key is everything eventually dumps right back into the river before the Reynolds Street Bridge, which, if we get water flowing back into the river through there for a confluence, we now are taking care of the abutment issues for the county. So you're also protecting infrastructure that, by the way, 7,700 cars use every day. So that is a big thing for the county. So there are a lot of check boxes and wins that go on. And of course, they're also looking at the potential where you also have reverse flows, things like that, that could end up happening. Luke, of course, can explain all that. That's way above my pay grade. I'll let the PhD handle that. But it does create a lot of options and a lot of possibilities, because we didn't talk about how it protects the Reynolds Street Bridge. It does. There is a potential that it does, because this water is gonna have to go somewhere. But we activate those existing historic stream flows to send that water out,
And
because they're already there.
there's other projects that capitalize, I guess you could say, on creating wetlands. And this would create, I'm sure, a lot more wetland area
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
can monetize that. I
Yeah.
mean, for what that's worth, but
Right,
Yeah.
the habitat.
And that's Luke's full involvement. He
Yeah,
wants
the
the street
habitat,
flow. He
Habitat's
wants,
clearly.
you know,
Yeah.
that's his,
you
everything
could
below,
probably get
you know,
some
to the, that's
Ducks
gonna be.
Unlimited, you know,
Riverside
buy-in,
stuff.
you know, some of these, Nature Conservancy buy-in,
Right.
you know, some of these other groups that are about creating a wetland, yeah.
And so
Yeah,
again,
travel
for,
limited,
since
yeah.
we're on that, the intent would be at least 5 CFS coming. The reservoir at all times to create stream flow.
Yeah.
More would be greater, better, you know, but I mean, that's gonna be a whole lot of accounting for water usage, because it's not like we're gonna have a constant flow going in. We're gonna do big exchanges, you know, fill it back up, and then over time, let her go back down and just kind of do
Well, and
repetitive bills,
when you look at
which really helps water quality in the reservoir.
yeah, that which is important for
It's not
the,
sitting there stagnant.
I'm just, you know, when you look at that section of the river, and you know, you look up to over Centennial Park, and the family's all using that part of the park over there all the time. And everybody's always saying we need more stuff to do with our kids. And then you create and there's quite a few use of that little pond over in Pathfinder, you know, for fishing and everything. So you create something like this, now you have tons more family, you know, the fishing derby thing, you know, all that, you teaching fly fishing, you know, all those different activities that you could have people buying in on.
And pretty soon people will just forget it.
Yeah, they will forget all about.
Well, no, it's not
We would
always.
not be
one thing
doing
at a time.
swim lessons.
No. I think it toughen the kids up.
Yeah,
Can't imagine that liability at all.
I myself grew up in the river and it was great.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Travis, how would, you made the comment, it would improve the water quality of the river?
No, I'm sorry, it would improve the water quality in the reservoir, drawing it down and
Oh, okay.
and doing the turnover thing.
Right.
That's, I'm sorry if I said river, I meant reservoir.
No, that's no problem.
Yeah.
But
There's, so, looking at this from a technical standpoint, if you dug that hole and didn't do anything else, just dug the hole, it would fill up to the, river level,
to the level. of
which
the river.
means that you can't do a clay liner.
Well, it'd have to be a slurry, it's a slurry of some sort.
And
Whether
so
it's
it'd be,
night or something like that, we had our water
so
engineer.
it'd be like
take a look
shot
at
creek,
it.
more like.
Yeah, I don't
Talking
remember.
about the
what-
pressure from underneath.
Yeah.
Yes, you'd have,
Yeah.
so the point is that if you just dug the hole, it would fill up to the level of the river, which means you've got an upward pressure
Which
from the bottom.
bathtub would float or.
Yeah, right. What he recommended, I think it was up to a 4 foot, thick
So,
slurry.
yeah, so, I see, yeah, so.
So some of that, I
with
mean,
enough weight.
that hasn't been engineered, but he looked at other reservoirs
Yeah,
and what is
Really?
required, and it was a slurry mixture, it's, you
yeah.
know,
And the head of the water above the river height is gonna help hold that.
It's
down.
gonna hold that weight in.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, one of the reasons. So the Ichabod pool, we get asked all the time, why did you leave water in the Ichabod pool year round? Two reasons. One, it protected the liner, but two, it kept weight on that structure, or you would have seen lifting, you would have seen moving. We kept weight on it because of those issues.
So one other thing, I'll just be a devil's advocate here. The
That's
city
what we
council, for city council to consider it for dollars and cents, would this project be better than just partnering with, Upper Ark Water and with the expansion of the, Dewey's Ditch Dam,
Damn.
and you have storage water above your facility? But then you'd have to weigh,
I've heard that's pretty expensive, that the dam raise, the, you know, not marginal, but the water that is, additional water that is stored then becomes real expensive.
yeah, so
Because-
do you do the same exchange up there that you're doing at Hubble Reservoir as far as water goes, but then get involved with the expansion of the dam itself. That'll be pricey, but this is gonna be pricey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that, I can tell you the way I'm handling it is, we're so early on all of these things that nothing's really kicked out. And I think that priority lists are going to change
Yeah,
over the next handful of years, but staying open until it, you know, becomes not feasible to all.
but
Water,
there is another option. I guess.
Yes,
water goes to
absolutely.
the point of least resistance.
Always does.
So if you line that large of a pond, it's gonna, because that's all river, it's all underneath, except for a little bit of topsoil, is all rock and sand. So it's gonna spread out even, I can see it spreading out even across the river. Of course, I'm speaking from me, to affect our ground as far as raising the water table.
Talking about over here.
No, farther west. That's Monty's, right there. Yeah. And what I just am thinking in my head that, like the power plant, unintended consequences to the adjoining property owners and damage to their property as far as drainage goes.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know that kind of eventuality could ever be planned for, but I think that,
Well, sure.
you know, through the feasibilities studies where they're gonna be doing core sampling of soils and seeing what is underneath that, you know, if you dug that all out, what does that look like? I think that some of those questions can be answered, you know, is the water flowing underneath that, you know, and they're gonna be able to tell that sort of thing when they're coring out. And if they see it, that's gonna change a whole lot of things,
It's out by the
For this-
Corps of Engineers.
yeah,
for this to be successful, I think it's gotta be a bathtub,
yeah.
right? For this to be successful, it's gotta be a bathtub, which means that you shouldn't see effects across the river, water tables or anything.
So,
If you could keep the bathtub in place.
Well, yeah.
So I-
It's either gonna float
so-
or it's gonna push. stuff.
Exactly.
So the one thing about this is that, of course, a lot of us will look at best case scenarios, worst case scenarios, everything else. The reality is, we don't know yet. What we have to do is do our due diligence. And a phrase that I like to use in these situations are, let's not start with no. Let's start with, okay, is this possible? Can we make it work? We may get to a no, we may get to a yes. But right now, I think the goal is keep an open mind. Let's see what actual options are there for us, because the people that could have already shut this project down are already going, we like it so far. However, 2 years from now, we can learn something about it and go, nope, 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 not gonna happen. No way. But if we just go off of either pie in the sky or a fear that there could be something that happened, we're not gonna get anywhere. The question is, can we keep an open mind? Can we look at it and do diligence and see if it works? Trying to take care of, yes, does it affect the floodplain? Does it affect water quality? Does it, what does this mean as far as storage for the community? Do the people on top of the bluff like it? I don't know. I would assume they might. I mean, they might love it, being able to look off their back, looking out their backyard and check out this reservoir. They might really like it. Some people might go, oh, hell no. Okay, there are gonna be some people that go, well, wait a minute, here's the other thing. What if all it takes is like a species of owl to be negatively impacted and
Which I
this
brought
thing
up in
is,
your meeting.
this thing is over, okay?
Snail dive.
There are so many hurdles to go. I am sure folks like Sienna Moss will have an opinion. I am sure folks, and I don't have a problem with that, but she may go, no, this is gonna negatively impact wildlife that's there. It may, because all the trees that are on that western end, gone. That's that's between the bluff trail and the river trail. Those are most likely going to be gone. Some will stick around, but most of them will be gone. Now, the good news is, There's not a lot of trees through there. Nowhere near like it is on the eastern half, but that western half, it changes. Most of them are along the bluff. But let's not start with no, and our focus is, can we do due diligence to make sure that we're answering these questions? But then also ask the experts who can answer those hard questions like you're asking and get them involved in going, yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Or maybe they're gonna say, no, that's not gonna be a problem, and here's why.
So,
what's
so
the
what
next-
is the process?
Yeah,
from
what's the
here?
next
Yeah,
step?
what's the next step?
Yeah,
Honestly, it was coming to you guys to see what this committee thought, because at the
This
end of
is
the
next
day,
step So far.
while we look for this, eventually, publicly, more people are gonna start to know about this, and I'm sorry, but anytime you mention any change to John Griffin Regional Park, people start with a no and make it a hard no, and I've had people come in and gone, hell no, on certain things that we've looked at.
you can stop right after change.
Yeah,
You don't have
there
to
was a rumor.
modify that at all.
This goes back 10 years. There was a rumor that there was going to be a frisbee disc golf course put in John Griffin. Over 80 people showed up at a board meeting going, what the hell?
Because they'd never seen a frisbee disc
Right,
golf,
right,
they
right.
would thought it was
So-
golf course.
So, you know, and our attorney has already advised the board. You were there, and you were there. There will be a lawsuit against this. It's
Well,
going to happen.
I don't know, Kyle, you
Somebody
should,
somewhere.
I don't know, you should, might say that, but I mean, you know, like when we did the Whitewater Park, we didn't have a single person that ever had a negative comment. Everybody was positive about it.
John Griffin Regional Park's a little different animal.
Well,
You still, on the river, you still have free flowing water.
yeah, no, I know, we
You
didn't, we
have
didn't,
some
we just made it
obstacles in
better.
there, you have some fish habitat,
Yeah,
but you still have free flowing water.
right.
You
Well,
don't
you
have
went on
a
this
pond.
too. This is not an on-channel dam.
Yeah,
This is off-channel
It's off
reservoir.
channel, it's
Okay,
still
just-
gonna be
yeah,
flowing, yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
what, so, well, I mean, so where, I mean, what
Okay,
is the
so-
next step?
yeah, so. A second part of this meeting, or I don't know if everybody's voiced it or not, but while we're not starting with no, and I really like that, you know. From this very diverse group that I really want to get, well, what are the negatives, right? Because we can talk about positives, and there's a ton of positives, potential positives, but what are the negatives as this group sees?
He has one right now.
He's got a couple and they're good,
Yeah.
you know, and this is what I want because these are the things we gotta figure out. I don't want to not have something figured out and we say go. Or we spend money on it to try to do feasibility when there's this big blinking red light that we've missed, you know,
Well,
so
and-
that's
and
what
you
I
know-
want. I want why this is a dumb idea.
So
You know,
that now.
I do, you know,
I'm not,
yeah,
I'm not
absolutely,
here sitting here and saying no.
yeah,
No, no,
Okay.
you bring
I
up, so,
want-
yeah,
About 500 tons more information
totally.
Sure.
and how it would affect the adjoining properties.
Well, the riverbank too. Don't you think that that's a question, whether the riverbank?
Huge question, yeah.
It is a question. There's an existing levee on both sides of the river, north and
And the
south.
river rerouted in the flood of what, 95?
oh, it rerouted not long ago in that,
Yeah.
just a few
But
years ago.
it stayed within the channel.
Right, it just changed.
It
the channel.
stayed within the channel, but the idea when they built
But
the
it
channel.
changed the
No,
channel.
that,
Okay.
yeah, that turn.
Well,
that big
hold
turn
on.
right there.
So the Flood Conservancy District, when it was designed, it created a big enough channel north and south where the river could then do what rivers do within the levee. The key is it never went outside the levee. It did what rivers did inside the levee. So that is an important thing to remember.
When you use the word levee, I thought you were talking about the structure that was built in 95 after the flood. There was a structure built with kind of the wall and then the new trail section was put on top of it.
Yeah, that's part of the
I was
levy.
here, I remember.
Yeah, yes, no, that is part of the levee.
That's part of the levy. Yeah,
Okay, it looks like
Yeah.
a levee to me.
that's a levy that's not supposed to be called a levy.
It's a structure of sorts.
Yeah, because,
It's a structure to present, to preserve
because I was involved with the
Halfway support.
restructure,
Yeah.
pathway.
rebuilding that.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
You know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
And
the,
then 2016, I think, or something.
yeah, we rebuilt that. So as far as the levy, that's not supposed to be called the levy, that's under county jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Now it is because the
Different
because the flood conservancy district no longer exists, so it's reverted to the county.
To the county,
So the county's
Okay.
responsible for it.
Commissioner?
so they'll have to be involved.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Yes,
District
they will.
12 was, what's his name? And
Well,
So I
I'm,
was
I'm,
looking at Commissioner McFall.
the woman.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
What?
I'm putting levy
Yeah,
with
she's the
quotes
top.
around.
Yeah,
We'll just call it the levy.
Yeah, absolutely.
there's a different.
A million.
term
Hang
for
on,
it, I
hold on,
can't
hold on,
remember
hang
what
on,
it is.
people, let's get back together one
Okay.
conversation.
Okay.
please.
All right,
So what I really want to know is why
Every
is why is this a
conversation's
dumb
important.
idea?
No, I don't think it's a dumb idea at all.
Or why,
I think
what's
there's a
wrong?
lot of good ideas. I think, I don't really want to stick my hands down in the details of what I'm thinking because I think that's a couple things down the road, but I would just advise like, if you start to organize some of either the pros and cons by category of policy, because I can think of half a dozen policy questions I have about it. And then you have like the sociological of how are people going to respond to it? You know, so you have like those issues you need to tackle, and then you have the hydrology. And so there's kind of different buckets.
Sure,
And so I guess, again, like, the questions are swirling around in my mind, and I wouldn't waste our time going down into them, but I think just next steps, creating a really transparent, I don't know if it's an oversight board or an advisory committee or what kind of thing would work, but where you can actually start tackling these,
Yeah,
you know, these categories of topics and bring in the right people.
mm-hmm,
After you get your thoughts together, could you pass those along to Luke, Travis and myself? So
Oh, yeah,
I can try to start looking at that.
sure.
you'd be better off just bringing Sienna in at the beginning. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
so
Well,
does
and I
she
thi-
choose
I
what
think
she
that-
wildlife,
You know, we
Environmentalist.
environmental?
we do have a lot of time, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
She's the
because
nicest.
feasibility studies are not cheap. Even on themselves, those are six-figure things, right? And CWCB does have grant for that sort of thing. But my point being is, we're already in our budget discussions for 2024, and that is not a part of any kind of water budget, is having a feasibility for a reservoir done. Okay, so the feasibility would not begin until 2025 at the earliest. All right, so we have some time, and so the way that I was going to kind of start thinking of it is do the low cost things first, that might kick this out, right? We'll do a community survey. You know, if a large part of the community survey says, no, we don't want this, and we're gonna fight this tooth and nail, then it don't matter if we can. It doesn't matter if we get past a whole lot of other things, you know?
You can attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It could be legal. We could have the money. And we could, you know, we could have so many other boxes checked, but if people don't like it, and the majority of people don't like it, then that's your answer, you know, and that's a
That's
very
usually
low cost
based
thing
on
to do
That
is,
is gonna raise my tax.
do those public
What's it gonna
discussions.
cost?
Right, because like I say, pre-survey, maybe even get public, or just get some information out on it. So
Yeah.
Like an information campaign,
Right,
then possibly a survey.
Yeah, if
right.
you could get a picture, probably like that, or maybe even a little bit more,
Yeah.
somebody to
yeah,
draw one of those nice cover
as everything
things.
is on this project so
Yeah,
far. is
yeah.
Get a
basic.
nice 3D
Yeah.
rendering. of
Yeah,
it.
it's 3D rendering, and get
Yeah.
that on
What's
the
it gonna look
front
like?
page of the paper and on the radio station, talking about
Yeah,
this potential idea.
but I think before even we do that, I mean, I think it would be city proper, not just me, Kyle,
Right,
you know,
You
and
can present
and
to
his
the-
board, and really say, okay, are we going to open a can of worms, or are we going to hold off, or, you know, what are we going to do here? I think that we really need to press go or not.
I'm just curious, in this room. Would all of you say it's worth continuing to at least look at? Or are you like, I don't like this at all? I'm just curious.
I think that there's definitely some more information to gather that isn't costly. For example, one thing in my mind is, do we have examples of other reservoirs right close to rivers in Colorado? That we could go to the entity that owns those reservoirs and say, tell us what you ran into when you built this. Because I don't know, are there reservoirs close to?
Yeah, there might be reservoirs, but I don't know if anybody's alive that built them.
Maybe.
Well, the most,
Maybe.
the most analogous things, like in the river system, it's alluvium, so there's a lot of gravel pits. And those are like, sort of like reservoirs, and so they'd be really good to
Sure,
get people.
Parkdale.
Yeah.
Parkdale, Old Valco,
Right,
Mackenzie's.
Harry's.
yeah, Mackenzie's, yeah.
yeah,
So,
They're
but
they're just similar.
yeah.
what I would say is that it sounds to me like this is a good opportunity for an exploratory committee composed of as broad a spectrum as you can get, but with the major players, for sure, the rec district, Canyon City, the other.
County is
Fremont
gonna have to get
Sanitation,
involved because
county.
of the levy
Right.
and the impacts on the.
But get an exploratory committee together that can start defining the buckets and what's missing or what's present in the buckets. Because that's where you're gonna come across your no the quickest.
Yeah.
Is looking at those, answering those kind of questions, I would think.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, it sells itself. There's a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
From a lot of perspectives,
Yeah.
environmental, potentially property values, even though I know the concerns on that side, but like you were saying, what that could do. I mean, there's definitely positives, but there could be some unintended consequences that I think are real serious. And so before you go out and sell it too hard,
Right.
I would say
Yeah.
maybe gather some more facts and just get
Right.
some other things.
Yeah,
And just be
I
transparent.
wouldn't want to give a public presentation with what we have. there.
No,
Right.
and the water
We're not
ready
conservation
yet.
is
Exactly.
definitely, the water
So-
storage is a big deal. I think that's something that a lot of people.
But, it's while there has been a whole lot of cost, I mean, it is some staff time of everybody's, so, that's
Right.
why we're kind of trying to tread carefully through all this stuff before I spend more of my time, before Kyle spends more of his time, it's just gently taking the temperature around.
Well, to the ditches, I mean, they'd be a big
Yeah.
group that I think you'd want to reach out to.
Yes,
Sure.
I agree.
Could possibly attack it a couple ways.
Absolutely.
I'm
Ditches
sure
are-
Kyle does not want to
important.
go through a Jim Hoare public meeting like he did with John Griffin Park and those soccer.
No, I'm not gonna relive, what was that, 2003?
Yeah,
I'm not reliving 2000. I wasn't even working for the rec
So you weren't
district
even
then.
born.
I was at that meeting. I wish. Yeah, all the board did was say, hey, look, what land do we have and can we potentially put a soccer field here?
No.
And then,
they were
Let's
ready to
see.
lynch Jim.
and the first move by the newly elected board, which was all to protect the river walk, was fire Jim Horner. And 200 people showed up at the meeting and go, like hell, and it was on.
It
And then
was.
it was an interesting, I was working at the radio station at the time.
Right.
And so I wasn't I got up and spoke for Jim. But that got ugly, but
It did.
anytime you even breathe about, hey, we wanna do this, John Griffin, what do you think? All of a sudden, when the public catches wind, oh, it's on.
Yeah. It did.
Kyle, who owns that land that the reservoir would be on?
The recreation district.
Direct-
You own all
And
of it.
sanitation.
We do,
Well, sanitation.
and the sanitation district.
Okay, so there is, and you probably know about this, and I'm sure you do, I know you do. And I just saw a presentation a couple years ago at DARCA, where there is a state conservation program that if you build a reservoir, or if you have a reservoir on your property, that you designate that in perpetuity, it's going to be open to the public as a conservation area, they will give you tax rights that you can sell that are very valuable. So that might be
It's
something
the,
worth
yeah,
looking
yeah,
at.
conservation easements in the wetlands.
Yeah.
Wetland tax credits.
Yeah, and
are
so,
very
and-
sellable, yes.
And, what's his face? That used to be the quarterback years ago for the Elway buys them. He'll buy all of them.
Everybody does. Their
Yeah.
tax credits are very, very
Yeah, tax, and
valuable.
so it might be something, I don't know whether, since you're, it's a nonprofit, if it's the same as a,
Well, we're
Private,
not
They're
enough.
not a nonprofit.
you're just.
They just
well,
don't make any money.
Not much
But
different.
you guys
We're a
own
no-profit
it.
entity.
No profit is different than
Come
nonprofit.
together and get those tax credits. and
Yeah.
stuff.
So,
That's something to look at.
Yeah,
So
so we could do an
thoughts
easement.
though too.
oh, yeah, I think, we've
know,
been talking about climate change and water storage for a long time.
Right.
And I think it's really important for this area. We live in a high desert. I mean,
Yep.
we need to be looking down the road. That's what, we don't wanna come to a wall someday and say, oh.
why didn't we do
Yeah, we
something?
should
Yeah,
have
Yeah.
done something.
yeah, so I think
Yes.
this is forward looking. It's, and it's something that it's hard to quantify for people, for voters. That they don't, why should I spend something today that's not gonna be
Right.
until, so, but for me, that's how I feel about it.
But if
So
you
how-
put a graph in the paper of water prices over the last 10 years,
Oh, yeah,
say, imagine this 10, 20, 30.
Yeah,
years, where this
especially-
graph is going.
especially.
It's only gonna get harder to get water.
So how many acres you can think this might cover?
25.
Yeah,
25?
this footprint's, well, I think.
And
up
you've
to
got
10.
100, right, Kyle?
What's that?
There's 100 in the old Adamic property.
Oh, yeah, we're a little, by the time you add everything up, we're right around the 100, maybe a little above that.
Okay.
The funny thing is it starts off narrow and then just gets bigger as you go. So again, we're not gonna be covering half of John Griffin Regional Park. It will look like it, but it won't be half because the other areas will remain, but the other areas will benefit by having stream channels and become stronger habitat through the years and potentially give us gold medal waters, which basically ends up part there. And now we could end up bringing it here.
Well, one of the big kickers is we might get the reservoir passed and all that, and you have that water. Getting it piped back up to your water treatment plant, that might be the no. You don't know.
Could be.
We sure need cheaper electricity to do that.
It all ties together. that's
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
that's the
Yeah.
feasibility part too,
Sure.
that's getting it back
But
up.
even if we had the water that close above some of the ditches that take out between us and Public Reservoir, it's still valuable for releasing. for
Could be an
distribution.
exchange there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
could be an
yeah.
exchange
'Cause you're
there.
above Minnequaw, you're above a lot of the
Yeah.
older stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, how much flow it would entail. But when SDS wanted to take out down below Florence, I'm of the belief that if you have the river here and it's at a certain level and you begin to pull more out down here, you're also gonna lower this. Because it's moving faster and it'll drop. You think?
Yeah, but there's probably a distance component and something, but for sure, I mean, you could affect it, especially depending on how close. The thing, this is a little down in the weeds, but thinking about the pipeline, that would actually be beneficial for the ditches here, in that you wouldn't have to exchange past them.
Mhm.
If you could let the water flow to the intake here, that would eliminate the exchange over your ditch. Having the pipeline go straight to the plant.
Cause you're doing the direct use out of the reservoir.
He's not having to take it out of the plant anymore. He's now able to take it out of below you guys.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have to exchange it through his.
You're actually allowing more water to the.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a benefit
Yeah. I
to
understand
the
what you're
ditches
saying.
that way. So that's why I'm saying there's like benefits and maybe some trade-offs.
Well, we're only allowed so much in.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm thinking like when he says 174 is their exchange decree, that's pretty low. I don't know, are you guys in at 170? See if that's?
You mean our date?
No, like on the river.
What
If there's
if,
174.
CFS, when do you,
When you could go.
yeah.
Do you have, well, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
kind of a weedy question.
yeah.
We've got, our decree is 1863. As far as where we stand in the number,
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and even the hydraulic in 2002 was under the threat that there wasn't even enough water in the river to supply them, you know, even
Right.
though they were. in
Well, we
priority.
had to rebuild our dam just
Right.
a month and a half ago to get water enough to get our decree.
So this, in theory, if there was a pipeline going back to the plant and it was a low water year, that would help you guys, could bring water past your diversion.
Yeah.
Or it wouldn't let him take water out above your diversion, I guess.
So a pipeline, whether that goes in or not is almost secondary, or
Yeah.
it's a whole separate phase.
Sure.
It is still valuable, but it way more
It's a good-
valuable.
good
It's
thought.
complete
Yeah, it's a good
separate
thing to
source
think
though,
about.
because it's what we're really missing in our water portfolio is secondary source. You can talk groundwater, but our water treatment plant is not set up to treat groundwater. And as soon as you start really changing your source water, CDPHD gets real touchy. Because of things like Flint, Michigan, that's what they did. They changed their source water. Chemistry was different enough that instead of depositing, you're now corroding. And now you have all the issues in the world, so. It's still Arkansas water.
Storage would be huge for the city of Kansas City.
Yeah, that's what I
So
think.
this, that's
Yeah,
one of the
for
things that
renting.
I've been tasked for is looking at storage options, and we actually have 4 different options right now, Duluth being one of them, this being one of them. A couple other ones that I can't talk about quite yet, but, so that's one of the things I've been pushing on. And while this isn't a classic gigantic reservoir that you find rights to and then you do it, this could be more of a model going forward for some. They're not micro reservoirs, but reservoirs that just serve you. And that's what you need for your emergencies. And, for us, the 500 acre feet, we don't need necessarily buy into a big reservoir, this is what we need.
So-
And these footprints don't come along very often. They're
No,
not,
that's it, yeah.
They really don't.
And see, we're fortunate enough because unlike a lot of other places, we have publicly owned land right next to the river that already has infrastructure within it as far as
Right.
a trail system used for recreation, and there is a levee. So it provides a unique set of circumstances that maybe not a lot of other people are able to offer. So it may just be the perfect time, the perfect type of project in an ideal location.
So I've got a bacon and eggs question. My bacon and eggs question is, bacon and eggs, right? The chicken's interested, the pig's committed.
Right,
Who's committed here? Who's committed to this idea? Not just interested in it, but who's committed to this? Who are the driver, who are gonna be the driving
right,
forces
forces.
behind
The
moving this forward?
So-
I'm gonna tell you right now, the Recreation District Board,
Mhm.
and Tim saw it and Travis saw it. There isn't one board member that isn't in favor of this project.
Okay.
the city of
that's
Canyon
all
City.
the city would be the other
The
Very-
Fremont County has to.
committed party, right?
We have not talked with the county commissioners yet. We have
I was hoping
obviously,
Dwayne was gonna be here.
Would they be interested or?
I have no idea. They might not have. a care in
the
this-
sanitation district did not give us a no. Are they committed? I think as long as they can get some sort of a land swap for their
Mhm.
soils,
Mhm.
good, take it, go.
They,
I think that's it.
That's kind of the only feedback we got.
That was it.
They
You
just
know, that
want
was
to be
the
made
only
whole,
feedback we
understanding.
got. We just need a land swap. That was it.
You got some
Colorado Legacy
cornfields there
lands.
west of Pathfinder.
What's that?
You got some cornfields west of Pathfinder.
You gonna go talk to Lucas?
Colorado Legacy lands.
You think I'm opening up a can of worms down there?
I'm just stirring it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had anything that happened at the rec district in that area,
Well, there's possibilities out there, but
Yeah.
that's so far away that, we're not looking at parcels of land to give the sand district right now.
So.
We know that there's parcels of land that are around that
Yeah.
maybe something could happen, but I mean, that's not even my purview to.
Yeah, finding the place to put fill dirt is actually pretty easy.
Luke, of course, is
Luke is
all in.
very interested.
He's
then-
kind of the subject matter expert on as far as.
well, it was his idea and it just kind of morphed from one thing to the next.
Uh-huh.
So, and what about you? So who's providing, who may provided the funding was that
CWCB,
CWCB?
Colorado Water Conservation Board.
Okay,
Yeah, they're
so
the
should
big
they,
players as far as
if
building
they
out.
were presented to just as an idea, like you did here, sort of, throw them the idea, do you think you might get more buy-in and potentially, hey, that's great, we'll help you run with it or that?
Depending on.
This is the kind of project they love.
Yeah,
They do love this.
so that's what I'm saying is maybe it'd be worth
But
getting them to
round
buy
table,
in.
It'd be the round table first.
Yeah, well-
Roundtable.
Well, yeah.
And the Enviro Rec Roundtable is.
Yeah, who's on the round table? Are you on the, yeah,
I'm
okay.
the
Likes the guy.
Yeah, and then, like Manny Cohen's on.
Yeah.
I think Dwayne is a county rep.
That's right.
He's a county
So-
rep.
I
I
used
mean, there's
to be.
Sometimes
Kind
it's
of, what
on,
is there?
sometimes it's not.
actually like 20 or 30
Of what?
of the seats on the round table. Isn't there a ton?
No, there's like 50. We're the biggest round table.
50,
to say.
yeah.
Wow.
I thought
There are 50 on it, but about 12
Do
show.
you each get a sword for
Yeah.
for your Knights of the
Yeah, we
Round
did.
Table?
So for a lot of these CWCB projects, what they want to see is, the local roundtable buy-in approval.
Okay.
Or support. Yeah,
Okay.
support.
So maybe the other question to ask is, who would be the next party, interested party, committed party, whatever, that could say no? that would be one way to look at this also. Who are the next,
And that's where I was going.
who's the next group that
It's
could
the
say?
Corps of
I think
Engineers,
the public.
the public, you think the public?
I think
Well,
public.
yeah,
Well, I mean beyond, the kind
Yeah.
of socio-political.
Corps of
stuff.
Engineers.
Corps of Engineers, Upper Ark Water.
But even stepping back, like, I don't know that the city's fully committed because they don't know enough information.
Yeah.
And the rec
That's
district
right.
might learn some things too that they might need
Yeah.
to know.
Right.
So at this point, so I mean.
Yeah, I think that's.
It's just like
I think you need to get the
information-
sit, well, but
information process.
But he does have a good point. If you get some public, if you get a ground operation, you get public buy-in, that can drive a lot of people's opinion about whether it's worth doing or not.
And that's one of the
Yeah.
next phases in our feasibility with Luke. So the rec district has an agreement with Luke. And we're trying to work on feasibility, and that's me doing I know more presentations. And I've got enough coming up in the next year that's gonna film it. So we'll just add it to the list.
Well, Kyle, I mean, I'd suggest that you also might think about, so Chris Moffett, RG Rio, he's done a really good job getting a lot of, grants and stuff like that. And if, we talked to him about bringing in a buy-in,
Oh, he would be all in on this.
yes, he would. I'm just saying that
That's.
maybe
that's
you
the
don't-
opinion. I gotta find a group that. I think the ditch companies are gonna wanna have a say in this. I think there's some, right, I think Oil Creek, hydraulic. Things like that are gonna wanna. Speak their mind.
Well, even the state, I know that you guys have talked to probably Dan, our commissioner, but with my job, there's some conversations going on at the higher level than Dan, so like with our division engineer, that she would wanna, I'm sure, be involved. So like,
Yeah, so I was talking.
yeah.
She is really.
But obviously, the round table is going to be a good group to
Yeah,
talk with as well, and if they jump on board, that opens up a lot of other things. If they don't jump on board, that can
that's what I'm
put the
saying.
kibosh on the
Yeah.
project.
and you got a lot of members from Upper Ark Water there on the round table.
Yeah, so that, you kill.
That actually show
one
up.
bird with two
Yeah.
stones. Kill two birds with one stone.
The meetings are only on Zoom now, but it's amazing how many people don't show up to those meetings anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Are you gonna be at the one on Monday? I know you will.
Which one, sorry?
I'm hunting.
Yeah, I'll be at it.
Which one's
I
Monday?
know quarterly,
Round table, 10 AM. Are you on the list?
it's the Enviro Rec. It's the
Enviro Rec?
subcommittee.
You need me to send you an invite?
No, thank you. If it was, M&I, then yes, but. No,
Enviro Rec.
municipal and industrial, yes, that would be more my wheelhouse, but.
I'll send you that link, because that's pretty, I'm on that one, it's pretty sporadic.
Is
The
it?
next time we have one.
M&I,
Yeah, send you that.
Enviro Rec already has it on their agenda. So
okay, yeah, I appreciate it, but
Luke's gonna probably, I'm hoping Luke will jump in. I don't know if he's around.
Okay, so what's the next step?
well, that's a great question.
How far? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll try to keep it in my feet break. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
Okay,
I
thank
insist, sir.
you. How far outside of this room can we talk?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's more of a question for Kyle. I think that's,
Would you like some rumors to get started?
Well, I don't want any rumors, but I'm gonna be frank, what we discussed here has already been discussed in open meetings with the Recreation District. This is a public open meeting.
Yeah,
It's been discussed here,
Yeah.
so it is what it is.
yeah, I think we
So
should.
I'm
I
not
think
here
we
to
should start
say,
talking.
cut. Now, at the same time, we don't know people, oh my God, the entire John Griffin Regional Park is gonna go away. They're gonna put it all underwater. What are they thinking? So, so
definitely will
You
come.
don't pay for
Yeah.
pool?
if you don't. What I would say is,
Yeah, it's just the
Present the
reality.
facts.
present the information that.
Well, yeah, I would think along the lines so I was in a meeting the other day and we were discussing the possibility of some water storage. It would be a lake in town over by the in that area. Cause a lot of people don't even know what John Griffin Park is.
And that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
use for a swimming pool.
Right,
Oh.
no, and I mean, just, which,
You're coming into the meeting.
It's between cells and runnels.
it's that area.
It's
Remember, we're talking about it potentially there.
That's it right there.
The idea of, in that area where the arrow is making a lake.
No, it's this way. It's over on that side.
Yeah,
Go back to the lake picture.
Where's
There,
South Lake?
see,
Yeah.
see?
South Lake is. on
Just
right
to the
after
left.
South
See
Lake.
South Lake there?
Just to the left.
Which, by the way, I found
So
out.
see the
not a
lake
legal
there?
pond.
Right,
Not a
right,
legal pond.
right.
South Lake is actually an illegal pond.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's been there forever though. It was like a,
it's illegal. But I know how many, so what was it, Dan Hendricks? So within a mile on either side of the Arkansas that he has to deal with, there's 3,000 illegal ponds.
Yeah,
Meaning ponds without,
Water rights.
water
Water
rights, right?
So you have cells, so it would be here. This middle trail is cut off, this middle trail is open.
But that would be all for, and that is
Cross track, the old cross track.
sanitation.
Yes.
Old sanitation is right here. So it sits in the middle, and then everything else is rec district.
So the rec district's willing to give the water to Canaan.
no, well, not
No,
exactly, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
see, that's-
We're not
It's a
there
twen-
yet.
it's a 25 acre, it's a 25 acre
No,
25 acres area that they would hope to make 20 feet deep, that would create 500 acre feet of water. But it would be funded, it would be filled with project water. And then.
That's leased.
that's
City's
leased.
water.
And
City
that's
water.
City water, and it's stored, it'd be stored there, it'd be able to be used for recreational purposes, but then potentially it could be piped back up for use, or it could be exchanged for other ditch water use if, in the case of a water shortage.
In which ditch would fill that?
No ditch,
No ditch.
no ditch.
So just right out the river?
Yeah.
Which would be good, because that's.
That's
And
the
it would
concept.
go to, it would come out of the
Concept,
bottom.
yeah.
It would
This
go
is
back
all
to-
concept.
Yeah, this
This
is
is a concept.
just a concept. Yeah,
I don't know if we stress that enough, that this.
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
just a
We're parking.
concept.
Yeah, we're gonna start filming that
that
next month.
Just started talking about.
Yeah,
it.
no, this committee is just gonna get shovels. and-
Oh, yeah, that's our deal.
Yeah.
I just did that trail, the loop, Monday, of course, I do it all the time in fall, pretty area.
Oh, it's great.
But still, water recreation is still a good recreation use, so it definitely goes in with the same.
Right.
It is, because of the location, it is going to take away very little recreation. It's going to leave the river and bluff trails alone. The western half or the eastern half of the middle trail remains in existence. And the
Over here.
eastern cross trail remains in
Yeah,
existence.
they're talking.
So you're not
Yeah,
taking away
this
the
is like-
recreation, you're literally adding recreation.
Is that what you're thinking?
But
Like,
Still motorized.
Still motorized, but like kayaking, fishing.
Kayaking,
Yeah.
stand up paddleboards.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's the thing.
They
right
did
now.
the museum did a tour,
That's kind of cool.
up and down the river and then.
You can go about
That makes
30
sense.
miles east and they can take care of it.
I don't think they do that.
I don't know if they can do dive boats on Full River.
The other ones you can, the other type.
It was a beer
Yeah.
garden. And
Well, let's bring that back.
Travis,
Yes, sir.
since this is already public meeting, public everything, is there a chance to get a hard copy of this?
Yes, sir.
Would you like me to provide, so what I can do is I can get Luke's reports ready. So Luke Javernick obviously has done some reports for the rec district board. Travis has some maps. I can get that. Travis, you may already have those. And then Travis can send them out to you and anything that Travis needs, he can contact Luke and I, and he can send it out to all of you. If somebody even came down and did a public records request tomorrow for it, I would need to pull it all together anyway and provide it. So this is all public record. There's no secret here. It's just we haven't really gone.
Just beginning of
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, I think
Public
that we would
because-
ask is if you're gonna talk negatively about it, bring the issues up to us so we can try to rectify those rather than tank a potential project.
It is just.
That's what we would ask.
Yeah, just positive.
Yeah.
things.
When do you think this might be, appropriate for council discussion?
Well, I think that's a great question. Ask you, actually, when do you?
I
think
can
this
answer
would be
that.
appropriate?
I got an idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
All right, so obviously, we're partnering with the city of Canyon City on feasibility study for the rec center. It may not be out of when we have to have joint meetings, which there are going to be some joint meetings. It might be an opportunity where we maybe do feasibility first and then we on the back end
Yeah.
do an initial presentation, because we're already meeting anyway.
Gotcha.
So there will be some opportunities. We might as well make good use of that.
So the way to make that happen is through Ryan Stevens and Ashley. But Ryan would be the primary contact and
Ryan and I am sure we can handle.
And you've been
all that
talking
stuff.
with Ryan?
He's aware, yeah,
Mhm.
lightly aware.
Lightly
I mean,
aware, okay,
he
so-
knows what's going on, but yeah, he is not
Yeah,
been fully briefed on
okay.
all potential aspects.
So that might be something you may want to do is talk with him about that. I will see him next Tuesday. I can talk with him, so.
Yeah, if you'd like to, I don't have one-on-ones with Brian, I do with Leo, but I could request a meeting with Brian.
Oh, check.
Yeah.
Or have Leo talk about it or whatever. I mean, and even, you know, if you wanna talk to Ryan and, so, okay, so that would
Yeah, I
be-
can request a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I've met with him over several of them.
Ryan's gonna look at me, and go, no, we have one time, not two.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, I mean, yes, I can certainly do that, and then, you know, he will certainly have wisdom about,
Sure.
you know.
Oh, it's
When to have
Hopefully,
a full,
all that stuff.
No, this has nothing to do with Silver.
But I mean, like you're saying, it's an illegal.
That is between the Carlsons and the Water Commissioner.
Oh, boy, I know who's winning that one. Linda's Carlson's winning that.
Brother got to buy some water rights.
Yeah.
That is not my
purview,
problem
yeah,
or.
yeah, this has nothing.
Nobody in this committee, that's their issue.
All I know is this, Dan was like, hey, it's
Duck Park.
good
or
conversation.
Duck Pond, was there any more discussion on?
I'm
That was,
not aware
I
of
mean,
any.
they were gonna talk to Rex maybe, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
On the
I'm not aware
pond
of
at the
anything.
Centennials.
yeah.
That's a speaking situation. for sure.
I did wanna make sure we got in, whether we wanted to have a November meeting, I don't know if it's appropriate, but we're starting to get to our last 30 minutes here, so.
Yeah,
Um,
November is so, cause it would end up being, cause when's Thanksgiving this year, which is, it's always the
23rd.
third Thursday, so it's,
23rd.
there's another
23rd.
week after.
There's a
that.
week after that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will be gone, week of the 20th, but I will be back the week of the 27th.
So that would be the
So
week.
we
of
could do the
27th.
29th, our naturally occurring meeting,
That would
if
probably work.
everybody's good with that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that.
Sure.
Sure.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah, what time? Same?
Same.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Same old, same
We'll
old.
just do the exact same thing. I just.
Awesome.
Ask, see, a lot of people are gonna be going or what, but. All right, well, I'm sure, me, Kyle and Luke will have another meeting or so and we'll talk about next steps and whatnot. And, you know, this could be a recurring topic on this committee as well, on how things are going and, you know,
Absolutely.
updates and whatnot. And you guys can provide feedback of anything you
I
guys
think
think of, chew on it for a little while and, you know, any extra concerns or
Yeah.
things that we should be thinking of or what have you, you know, I am all ears. So again, tell me why it's a dumb idea. I am all ears.
We know Beth hates it.
I like it a lot.
I
I just wanted to go, I'm already ready to go California.
I gotta copy that.
Fixing to go kayak.
I'm gonna sell so many people in this year.
She's gonna-
So,
She's gonna be out there, she's gonna have the Pizza Madness boat. They're
that's
gonna-
right.
Well, I mean, you
God.
see a lot of the other reservoirs around town, they're increased sup usage.
Yeah.
People are looking for a spot to do that sort of.
No, I think it's a great idea.
Stuff is so huge.
But, and I just want to tell you about rumors in this town. So the other night we had that Dine with Dolly
Yeah.
Imagination Library.
Yeah.
Bunch of people called during the afternoon. I need to make reservations so I can dine with Dolly. When is she coming? And then it actually went out, she'll be there at 5:30. And so then we were all waiting. And I said, she just left. Limo just pulled up. You missed her. Yeah.
You missed it.
And I'm being very serious about this.
Jolene came by and picked her up. right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Joel.
yeah, it was yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it'll take different forms out.
Oh,
in the
no.
community, and that's
Oh,
just
yeah,
going to
always
happen.
does.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
She left by saying, I will always love Canyon City.
Yes. Yeah.
I can just keep going. all
Hey,
the
guys,
time.
go all night.
Well, thanks for coming in, Kyle. That,
Yeah.
and Travis setting this up. This is really interesting. This really is right down our alley.
Yeah, it really
I think
is.
As far as
great.
what we're supposed to be looking at as a committee. And so this is pretty great and I think we've come up with some ideas that may be helpful. and we await further developments.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
And Emily, you had something.
I have a question. I didn't know if this committee has talked about bulk water sales at all yet. But this kind of came into my mind yesterday, raising several questions for me when there was a public hearing with the county commissioners meeting regarding exploratory drilling in the Tallahassee area. And the company that's going to do that, as I understand it, is going to buy bulk water and truck it up to Tallahassee, buy water from the city. But I guess my main question at this point is, that water doesn't go back into the stream system. They are literally going to be trucking wastewater and whatever else they pull out of the holes to some disposal site in another part of Colorado. Do our water rights allow for that, where the water isn't returned to the stream? So that was a piece of my question, and then I guess a broader question is, does the city at some point think we should put more into our rules about bulk water sales? Because right now, anybody who pays the money and gets an account, as I understand it, can truck the water wherever and use it for whatever they please.
So the first part of your question is, the answer we've got from that is as long as it stays in the watershed.
But it won't with their operation. It'll.
Well, I mean, as long as their use is in the watershed. I mean, there are plenty of uses that don't use or don't let water go through.
That are consumptive, truly
Yeah.
consumptive.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of a gray area, but as long as the water account user is in the watershed, there hasn't been much.
Because I don't know what
Looking at
the
it.
quantity is. I think it's at least 2 truckloads a day, or I'm not sure the way they were presenting. I haven't read their 300 each thing they submitted to the commissioners, but it just raised a lot of
Like-
questions for me.
Well, I think that's a really good question to ask though, because that's something that you could see as being a loophole. You know, like
Yeah.
if somebody comes down and sets up an account or something and they
Right.
run it through their Nestle plant up in Buena Vista and then truck it to Denver, you know, what
Right.
quantities of water are we talking? I mean,
Yeah.
could it be significant down the road? So I'm not saying it's significant right now for this project, but it is something I think is a really good question to ask. and
I agree.
consider, like,
I think it's, yeah. it's
As
the
far
kind
as
of thing-
quantity,
yeah, just drilling down with like or the city's attorney or the water attorney, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
just where that stands on the legality of using or returning the water to certain systems, if it's just used for returns or.
And then it's just a city policy question too about, do we care how far the water gets trucked and what it gets used for? Well,
we
I
do
don't
care
know.
how far it gets trucked.
Yeah.
But where we care is again, just staying in the watershed. So in theory that the water, and I know this is different, I hear you saying that, but for like a household, so then if it goes into, you know, any kind of wastewater, then eventually that water would make it back to the Arkansas River. And that's all that they've heard about so far.
Yeah, and their plan with what they told the commissioners yesterday, if I understood it correctly, and I know, John, you were there for part of it, that their plan is to collect all this wastewater out of the drilling process and truck it to, I don't know, somewhere in the eastern plains of Colorado, Deer Trail or somewhere, wherever they can dispose of this certain kind of, what do they call it, produced.
Uranium enriched water.
Yeah. exactly.
No.
Yeah, and for the second one,
What do you go?
we've never regulated what type of users can use bulk water. You
Thank you,
know,
Kyle.
there's Harry's brothers that use a ton of water from the bulk water station. We're trying to get that fixed. The only time that I'm aware that we haven't allowed people to use bulk water was Pueblo West marijuana grows, because they needed an actual letter from us to give to
Yeah.
the regulators saying that we would provide water to a marijuana grow. And our attorneys advised against that, saying that it could be not so good when you're getting federal grants and stuff like that. And so we actually used to do that before, I think January this year is when I stopped it. I said, you know, last year, then we'll allow that to happen. Because you know, the previous superintendent said, okay, and I support that. I'm not saying anything wrong, but you know, as more information comes along, they're like, oh, this could affect federal grants. Okay,
Sure.
maybe we should not think about it.
Yeah,
So take that as a question, please, push it through Ryan to the attorneys and say, here's a situation.
Well, especially because of what it's being, I mean, fracking is very controversial.
they're not fracking.
But you don't, they're not fracking?
No, this is just exploration.
This
Oh,
is-
they're just using
yeah,
the water to cool. their
what was done yesterday was for exploration,
Right.
but you get to the bigger, if they actually get into mining
Right.
Yeah.
and what they're
Well,
gonna
then
use
they're
for
gonna have
bulk
to have
water, then I think your points are pretty
They have to
valid.
have augmented water.
Well, there's,
They couldn't use.
They
both.
couldn't use bulk water then.
that's a
that's
different
just
question,
like-
but there is a valid question here. Which is if they take the water and use it, they say they're gonna recirculate. But at some point, that water is gonna go somewhere. And if it goes somewhere outside of our watershed, what are our, liabilities?
Yeah,
What are the
that's.
city liabilities?
Yeah.
But they did seem pretty flippant about, well, we're just gonna use bulk water.
Yeah, because
Oh, wait a
that- I hadn't heard of that. And
I did the same thing.
never- I don't think we've ever seen a county project that it has to come and get approval for bulk water for something like that. I've never had to give like a will serve like we do for taps, for like a
Right.
development.
See,
Or
that's
somebody
good.
going in front and they have to get a letter from
Yeah,
us saying
that's what it
that.
seems like. There
the
should
city's-
be some kind of.
But bulk water is such a different animal. It really is. It's not
Would
a
there be a
guaranteed water
maximum
source.
gallonage for that or something?
I'm sorry?
Is there a maximum or minimum use for bulk water users? I mean,
No, it's,
so you could just. line
I
up
said,
trucks all day
Aries
long.
Brothers, I think they got 6 trucks a day. I mean, it's constant, and they're trucking it.
So if we have a call on the river,
That's the first thing that gets shut down.
that does get shut down. that
So we
bulk
have
water.
several steps that we do.
Yeah.
I think there's tier one, it's been a while, so bear with me, that I've never blown the dust off that document, but, there's 3 tiers, I believe, to our water conservation. And I think tier 3, the most extreme, would be shutting down bulk water. It'd be limiting first, because, there's understanding that people are living off this water.
Right.
But the 3rd tier is shutting off the bulk water station.
I think you had to in 2002 because
Yeah.
a friend of mine that relied on bulk water took water out of my house and hosed it into his book.
Yeah.
Boy, that must have put pretty good.
Yeah, that
water.
was 20-some years ago.
I mean,
Yeah,
this goes-
that
this
actually
goes to
happened.
a kind of a larger conversation that we have had with the county, or at least I've presented in front of a VOCCC meeting, is when they relaxed their rules about homeowners building a house and having cisterns. It used to be a lot harder to do that. They've relaxed it since then. And I spoke in opposition of that and saying that it's not a guaranteed water source. And I would rather it not be an easy thing because, okay, this homeowner's property owner is aware of it, they sell. The next one may not be, that they have a non-guaranteed water source.
Right.
If you ever shut that down,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that property
And-
values just plummet.
Exactly, and
And I just
yeah,
don't think that should be something. that
realtors do
is
not
easily done.
reveal that. They're supposed to, but they don't, and I know
Well,
that.
you could have, because we have well of Douglas County that you could, everybody out there is on a well. And it could very easily go away,
Yeah.
just like in a year. You could not have water. Everybody out there, and that was before they built the reservoir out there, just, south of Parker.
Yeah.
Before that, there's no water source. That, those wells
Water's
would
not
just all be
guaranteed.
gone.
We make that ultra
Nope.
clear when
Yeah.
people sign up for an
No.
account.
But when
that's-
the
yeah.
county approved this yesterday, I don't think they thought of this as being an issue. All they heard was city bulk water and they.
Yeah, see, I don't see how that's
I
right.
just think from the city's point of view, I think we do wanna check with the attorneys and then
Yeah.
figure out, do we need a little more in our policy? But if this committee.
At least having to get it approved, just that, yeah.
I think I'm guilty of this, looking at the short-term effect. Where we need to be looking at long-term
Yeah.
effects.
Yeah,
Anything,
Anything.
anything.
it to do with water, yeah. When you
Totally
pull a
agree.
well permit, you can only pull a well permit for the use, like, right, they don't give any more for agricultural use, out in the Dawson area up in Douglas County. They don't give it, you can only use it, and you can only have a minimum amount that you can water with. It has to be primarily household use.
Well,
even
when it
then,
comes with,
We've tried well dry.
when it comes to bulk water sales, I mean, there is a worry that I have and other water purveyors have that the states interpretation of how you can use those waters
Yeah,
may change or may whatever.
Mhm.
And that water is outside of our at least water district,
Yeah.
you know, or water boundaries,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
that's so far been okay, but will it always be okay?
Exactly.
I don't
I
know
just-
that.
I
And so if they
just-
ever said that water can't be hauled outside of our water district, all those people that have cisterns now have some
Right.
source of water.
yeah, no, and
some
that's, yeah,
businesses.
And
Couple
some
of
businesses.
yeah, those guys, are yeah, yeah,
I mean, the Royal Gorges hauled water from us
Right.
before when their treatment plant was down and all that. And
yeah,
But anyway, I
What-
think the city should look at that policy.
Yeah, I agree.
Regardless of what the outside world says, but
What has ever happened to the development up at the Royal Gorge, the city supplying water there? What has happened as far as
The ranch.
buildings?
city is not gonna supply water to them.
They're not.
We
I think
cannot.
everything's on hold in his
Yeah,
world.
it's
right
not,
now.
it's not should we or shouldn't we, it's we cannot.
That pretty much comes down by state law to
Yeah.
me.
I mean, it's.
Yeah,
We had many meetings with water attorneys about this and it was, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
what if they can truck it anywhere, right? Is that what?
No, he can
that's-
truck
But it also goes down to the guarantee of water.
yeah, it's, when you build a subdivision, you have to have a guarantee of water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
And
can't.
trucking it isn't a guarantee of water.
It's the responsible way of doing it,
It's not.
not a guarantee of water.
Yeah.
Right.
Does the
It's
city or the
it's
county have a
like, it's
policy?
like the others. It's
Of
like the
Making
others.
developers bring water or bring
Anyway, his
cash.
world,
State.
his world's exploded.
State does.
Well, the state requires a guarantee of water
Yeah,
Yeah,
for anything, for subdivisions under 40 acres.
Yeah.
Well, but we've
Right.
also got a requirement for
Yeah.
new water towers that they
right.
provide water,
Yeah,
or in lieu of.
and that's good.
Yeah.
That's a little bit-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Before that.
yeah, so I think the county may have a policy as well, but I'm not totally sure about
I'm
it.
not sure about
Yeah, yeah.
I threw it back.
So is project we're talking
Not the
about
first
in the
time.
reservoir,
Yeah,
is
but
that the
he
only
should try to buy her out.
place within, reasonable
I don't,
distance?
I don't know
City
what's gonna happen, but that's why everything's sort of.
Yes, that's pipeable, yes.
That's the only
Shut
place
down.
that's pipeable.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess in theory, it is pipeable, but yeah,
Within
yeah.
reason.
within-
Yeah. Third point, it'll be ridiculous.
I think I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I-
To the city property.
And it's,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be
You know, it's
close
just
to
a-
that building we'll
All you could.
Or-
I mean,
or
that's do
something
with
that sells
The
the
campground.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be.
You know.
It's not, I know, well, but it's.
Yeah.
it's
Drive
not-
that.
just be down from it a little
You know,
bit.
bring
Yes.
water. do the
Yeah,
trick,
I'm not aware of any reason to put that down.
You know.
Or one
It's a
thing.
good size light.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
It's out there.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
I think we're
Okay.
just about to an end here. We'll wrap this up and then we'll see y'all in November.
Yeah.
All right.
absolutely. Appreciate it.